What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today we have a bunch of new units to actually talk about. So shout out to Solaris, the actual manager of the One Piece Treasure Cruise database. He did some data mining, and we have some new characters to look forward to for the Kizuna Clash, which is coming very shortly. We actually do have full confirmation as well that it will actually be a Super Boss Kizuna Clash, which I don't think too many people kind of predicted. Like, we knew that a Super Boss Kizuna was pretty much on the horizon. So yeah, it's going to be One Piece Stampede related, but it's going to be also not One Piece Stampede related. It's very confusing, but basically we have some new characters coming into the game which are focused on the One Piece card game. Remember a couple months back we had the Login Luffy. It was the One Piece card game collaboration character. Now what's happening is we're getting more of these units. We're getting a new Kaido, we're getting a new Crocodile, and we're getting a new Eustace Kid. Now these characters, the two of them, Crocodile and Kaido, are summonable Kizuna rare recruits. We've got Kid. Kid is actually a free-to-play character. He's going to be the free-to-play Kizuna character this time around, and he does super evolve. So he starts off as this 5-star unit, and then he evolves into the 5-star plus, which is the One Piece card game collaboration character. So shout out to my One Piece card game fans out there, because I'm a huge fan of it. I play on a weekly basis, and yeah, it's cool to see that these characters are getting representation in Treasure Cruise. It's always awesome. But there's actually some other characters too. There's going to be a Bartolomeo. This is from One Piece Film Red, and this is a new support rare recruit. So I guess this is actually like the final One Piece Film Red character that we're getting in this celebration, it looks like. And then we have the super evolution of Stampede Luffy, and this artwork looks so much better than the original Stampede Luffy that we had. For those of you who don't know, like, the original Stampede Luffy, everyone memes on this artwork about how terrible it is. I'm so glad that we're finally getting rid of this. I mean, I will say though that the 5-star artwork for this character, this artwork looks very, very good, but that 6-star is terrible. We're getting the 6-star plus though, and it looks fantastic again. I cannot wait to see what the ink effect looks like for this guy. But let's actually start talking about the characters. Let's start off with the Kizuna rare recruits. So the first one here is Kaido. Now, Kaido is int powerhouse driven. Shocker, right? Int powerhouse driven. Captain ability. He does have a boosted captain ability in the Kizuna itself, so if you pull him, you get like a buffed captain, but generally speaking, -1 cooldown to int powerhouse driven, and he does give a further -3 cooldown to himself only, which is still pretty good. Int powerhouse driven, get 5 times attack when you have a matching slot, 4.5 otherwise, 1.25 HP, and then all of the new One Piece card game characters here have this really cool effect in their captain, adds 0.25 to the effective attack boost launched by the crew. This is really cool because it means that this is actually like the same kind of thing that versus Yamato Kaido had. The Kaido side of that character had this ability where any attack or orb boost you activate actually gets buffed. And it's not, it doesn't actually buff the actual buff on your crew with a plus icon. This is like a passive effect that's always activated. So hypothetically, if you use like a 2 times attack boost, it automatically becomes 2.25, but it still allows you to use some type of effect to buff that attack boost further. So it's really cool actually. It makes your attack boost much stronger. And of course, if you do use him in Kizuna, 5.75 times attack instead with a matching slot. Obviously very, very strong. Sailor ability does resist -2 cooldown when it's reversed, and then also gives some base stats. He does have a special ability here that says that if the enemy with the highest HP is 200,000 or below, it defeats enemies. However, if the enemy with the highest HP is above 200,000, then it does damage, int damage to all enemies. This leads me to believe that there's probably going to be a Kizuna mini-boss maybe that has some mobs surrounding it, where you have to use Kaido special to kill them. I hope that's not the case. It always makes the fights really annoying. He also does reduces -1 cooldown for the crew, which is good. He also resists the reverse, so the minus cooldown makes sense. He also reduces damage threshold by 6 and attack down by 6 turns, and then boost int powerhouse driven by 2.5 for 1 turn. If you use him as a captain, this will passively be added, so it's actually a 2.75 times attack boost. If you have double Kaido, I actually don't know if it double stacks. If it double stacks, it becomes a 3 times attack boost. It's actually pretty good. 12 turn cooldown is respectable. And he does have a super type, so you need to be below 50% HP, and it will reduce the cooldown of all characters by 1, again, pretty good, and changes top and middle row slots into Wano, and you heal 40% of your max HP. It's actually not terrible. Like, this unit is not bad at all. For a Kizuna rare recruit, I think he's actually pretty solid. Move on, his support's bad, and for his potential abilities, he has Enrage, Special Use Limit, and that's pretty much it. So that's the first of the rare recruits here, which is the new Kaido. Moving on to the next one, which is going to be Crocodile. Crocodile here is a little bit different, being quick this time, quick cerebral driven. His captain ability, once again, is also one of those ones that can be boosted in Kizuna. -1 cooldown to quick cerebral driven. You get a 5 times attack with matching slot, 4.5 otherwise, 15% damage reduction, and he adds 0.25 increase to any orb boost launched by your crew. And then in the event itself, he's a 5.75 times captain, very, very strong. His sailor effect here is so good, reducing special bind by 6 turns. Also giving some buffs, a special 20% health cut, so he's a damage dealing special, which is always good. 60% damage reduction for 2 turns. It reduces enemies' damage nullification by 1, very useful effect to have. Reduces special bind by 6, so good. And then quick cerebral driven, get a 2.5 orb boost for 1 turn. If you use him as a captain, it's obviously buffed a bit further. However, if you do use him as a captain, you don't really get the full benefits of removing special bind, unless if the special bind is only for subs, for example. And he does have a super type where you need to have a rainbow shield, a damage reduction on your side of the field, which of course his special ability allows you to do that. And the super type will allow you to get a damage reduction focused attack boost. So if you have a 60% damage reduction in the example here, you get a 1.6 attack boost. So this is just another stackable buff, which is good. And then quick becomes super quick. His support is terrible, and for his potential abilities, slot bind and reduce sailor despair, which is fear resistance. So the fact that this character is a 6-turn removal of special bind whilst also having fear resistance as one of his potential abilities, it's pretty valuable. It's pretty good, honestly. I don't see too many issues with Crocodile or Kaido. I think that they're both relatively good. We'll move on to the support rare recruit, which is Barto. Remember, support rare recruits are on their own banner, and they do have a discount and stuff like that. I'm very intrigued to see what characters they choose to like recommend on the banner, so that's going to be interesting to see what they do. But Barto is going to be int striker driven. No real surprises there. His normal effects don't really matter, but his support is what's key. Now, it does attach to all the Straw Hats. That's a huge positive because there's plenty of representation for the Straw Hats in One Piece Treasure Cruise. The effect itself is okay. It does state that once per adventure, if you use the special of the unit, so it doesn't have to be damage dealing, doesn't have to be a slot change special, just any special of any Straw Hat, you get a damage threshold on your team for 1 turn. And it says that if you land 2 perfect strikes, you get a 10% resistance down for strength psi int on the next turn. So this guy can actually be used in a couple of different ways. You could use him preemptively on a stage 4 or like the second last stage, for example. Hit your 2 perfect so you get resistance in the final stage. Or alternatively, you can use it in a defensive manner where you can use it to tank death hits, for example. And I feel like that's likely what's going to happen in the Kizuna. There's probably going to be some kind of death hit in this event, and his support will allow you to tank the death hit. Or alternatively, if you don't need to, you can use it offensively to get a further 10% bonus for strength psi int. So I'm not really 100% sure to see how this is going to work, but it's an okay support. Definitely not the best support rare recruit we've ever seen, but because it attaches to all the Straw Hats and it can be used in offensively and defensive ways, I do kind of like it in that way, but it's not that good, let's be real. It's fine. It's just okay. We'll talk about Luffy last, because he's interesting. So we're going to have the new Kizuna rare recruit. So remember, this is a 5-star character. He super evolves into this kid, through collecting the skulls in the Kizuna Clash itself. So this is the free-to-play unit that everyone will get access to. So Kid, Dex, Striker driven. Captain ability says -1 cooldown to Dex driven Striker. Boost their attack by 5 times with matching slot 4.75 otherwise, 15% damage reduction. He adds a 0.25 increase to any color affinity boost on the crew, and says that it changes recovery slots into bomb, and bomb and super bomb slots are matching, and reduces the damage from bomb and super bomb slots by 80%. So I thought this is kind of a bizarre effect, right? Because normally when an effect in a captain reduces damage from bomb and super bomb, it completely removes the damage. However, in this team example, it's going to only reduce the damage, which I do find a little bit weird. Nonetheless, bomb and super bomb are going to be matching. You find them, it's cool. And then also further buffing color affinity boosts. If you use him as a sub, he does still make those slots matching, which is nice. Special ability, damage dealing special is a positive, reducing paralysis by 6, which is very good. He changes all slots, including block, into super bomb. That is so good, by the way. Remember that super bomb are basically like Semla slots, rainbow slots. They cannot be changed by the enemy. You can use this to your advantage so that you can get these guaranteed matching slots. The enemy cannot do anything about them, and you can get that to really abuse like the ability to get around certain effects. Like if there's a preemptive fight where the enemy gives you super block slots, you can use this to get around that, which is kind of cool. He also boosts color affinity of Dex Driven Striker by 2.25 until your HP is reduced by 5,000. I love this. We haven't seen this in quite a while. The last character to have this effect was Kizuna Legend Boa Hancock, which was released almost a whole year ago now. So this effect says that you basically get a 2.25 color affinity forever until you take 5,000 damage. Like, that's incredible. Remember, if he's the captain, it actually becomes a 2.5 affinity. And then it further says, you get a threshold damage reduction of 3,000 threshold damage reduction for 2 turns. So basically, for 2 turns, you pretty much will guarantee have this effect no matter what. I think this is really, really good. For a free-to-play unit, he's actually really solid. Don't mind it at all. Super tight. When he himself has a bomb or a super bomb slot, which is easy, and then it does 100 times his attack and non-type damage to all enemies, ignoring defensive effects and defense. This is super good. This actually might be a solid option for a super boss for a treasure map, for example, but you need to have a bomb or a super bomb slot in order for him to do that, which is kind of annoying. He does change the attack multiplier of bomb and super bomb to 2.5 when they are matching, so basically they become the same as a Wano slot, and that's it. So it doesn't do a whole lot. Damage and then change the multiplier of bomb and super bomb, but the fact that the damage goes through base defense, I like that. You can, you know, kill turtles with it and stuff, which is good. Support is whatever, slot bind reduction, critical hit, and special use limit. And in PvP, he doesn't really seem to be that good. He's just a pretty mediocre character. But in normal content, I think that there is some potential for him to be used. You know, the fact that you can have a almost permanent color affinity boost, removing paralysis, like, he can definitely be used in content. I think he's a pretty interesting new free-to-play unit to collect. So the last character here is going to be this brand new Monkey D. Luffy, which is going to be Stampede Luffy. I'm a big fan of this unit, and I was really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do. And I've had a brief look at him, and he seems pretty strong. Although there is one big glaring issue that I have with this unit, but let's talk about him. So Monkey D. Luffy carving out his own adventure, who is going to be a fighter powerhouse Sai. Captain ability. So he's got 2 different captain abilities. The base one that you'll always get, or if you have max level limit break, you'll get this captain ability instead. So we're going to look at the most buffed version. So you get -2 cooldown to Sai Strength Dex and -1 cooldown to Fighter Powerhouse. So he's going to be like an ultra speed farm captain. -3 potential cooldown at the start of the quest is very, very good. 5 times attack to Sai Dex Strength, 1.2 HP, 20% damage reduction, so very bulky captain. Boosts character's attack, boosts his own attack by 5.5, and makes Sai Dex Strength characters Sai Dex Strength slots matching. The big thing here, and why people will still use this character, removes 10 turns of despair and paralysis by himself, which is good, and then boosts the chain multiplier growth rate by a 1.2 multiplicative buff when your HP is 30% or below. So at low HP thresholds, he's going to be a very solid damage dealing captain, honestly. So special ability, or captain ability wise, there's no real major change between his current form and what we see now. The main thing that stands out is that he does have an HP boost. I don't remember before if he had an HP boost. I know he was focused on damage reduction and slightly higher multiplier, and that's pretty much it. And the cooldown, of course, he gets more cooldown, but they haven't changed a whole lot with his captain, and to be fair, his captain ability didn't really need much of a change. It was already still very, very good. So, Sailor effect here, he gets these ones, but the interesting thing here is that this Sailor ability actually changes when you get level limit break, where it makes all natural slots beneficial for himself. So he'll never have a non-matching slot unless the enemy gives you that debuff or a block slot or whatever, but all of the natural slots are beneficial to him as a sub, which is very good. Now, the special ability here. Now, you can see that it's actually a pretty big difference between the 2 specials here. So, the base special that you'll get, because we'll have a look, because this is a pretty stark difference. You get 250 times attack and non-type damage all enemies, reduces attack down, lock chain, and decrease chain by 5. So this is all new. He never had this before, which is a really nice change. He changes his own slot, including block into Sai. I actually don't remember if he changed his own slot through block before, but if not, this is a big change. And then boosts the attack and orbs of himself by 3x for 2 turns, and a 1250 base attack for 2 turns. Just, he hits really hard. He's very self-centered, but he does a lot of damage. He's very, very strong. When you move on to his level limit break special, though, 300 times his attack and non-type damage to all enemies. Those debuffs of attack down, lock chain, and decrease chain are removed by 6 turns instead of 5, which is fantastic. That's so much removal. He gives himself a guaranteed matching psi slot. Prevents his own slot from being changed until you land a great strike. So he puts his slot into slot change impossible, and it doesn't go away until you hit until you hit a great, which is fantastic for this character. You keep that slot forever until the enemy removes it with positive buffs or whatever, but that's fantastic. The attack and all boost of himself has been buffed to 3.5. That's a huge increase between the level limit break and the base special, going from 3x to 3.5. For both buffs, by the way. So it's like 3 and 3 up to 3.5 and 3.5. That's actually a very major difference. And the base attack boost is increased from 1250 to 1500. You can also put support Sabo on him to get a further base attack increase. And then furthermore, he adds 0.25 to any color affinity boost that is launched after you launch this character special for 3 turns. So this does count for supports as well. So it means that, you know, you launch the special, and then if you launch a color affinity special, you just get a 0.25 increase to it. This effect is kind of like whatever, like we don't really care about that much. Just the bigger buffs to the attack and all boost than base attack, and then the more removal is the big thing. And the good thing is, right, 9 turn cooldown with Limit Break Plus, and with that Sailor effect, like, this is going to be a great unit to use as a sub. If you see, like, any int character on the enemy side of the field, this special is just going to solo them. Like, this character does so much damage against those units. So, it's going to be fascinating to see how people utilize this character moving forward, because it's a strong captain, very good special ability, but the glaring issue, he does not receive a super type or a super class special. And it is fascinating that we had 2 recently released super evolutions in Guild Tesoro and Zephyr, Black Arm Zephyr. And those 2 characters received either a super type or a super class. And then for Luffy not to get it, maybe it's because this character was already very good and he didn't really need it. And to be quite honest, I don't really think he needed a super type or a super class. He wasn't one of these units that actually desperately needed it. His kit is already pretty self-sufficient. He doesn't really need a whole lot going on here. But the fact that those 2 units got it and he didn't, it just sets a weird precedent. Like, why are you picking and choosing some characters to get super types and super classes and then others not to get it? I think it is a bit of a weird change. So I hope that we just continue to get them in the future. The fact that he doesn't have it is a strange point to just bring up to you guys. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. But 9 turn cooldown for that special is very, very good. Support is whatever. As for the rest of his kit, he does have the damage reduction, pinch healing, and slot bind that he completely removes, by the way, which is good. And his PvP, unfortunately, is still pretty bad. He does evade paralysis and 40% damage reduction versus int, which is good. His effect here, his rumble ability, strength, dex, psi, level 6 attack, and then fighters, HP and speed 6. Speed 6 is kind of whatever. If this was defense 6, it'd get me a bit more excited. And then a 35 CT special. If he is above 50% HP, he gets himself level 10 attack, but then he will always do a large range 2.6 damage. And for that special at a 35 CT is ridiculously terrible. This needed to be around a 25. If this was 25, this would be respectable, but for what he does, 35 seconds is just not good enough in my opinion. But that's the breakdown of the brand new One Piece Film Stampede 6+ Luffy. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about all of the new characters down below in the comment section. Really hope you guys enjoyed this video though, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.